Hi friends, today we're going to listen to a story from Knowledge 2 Lesson 7 called Buddhism. Our first vocabulary word for this lesson is the word Buddhism. Repeat after me. Buddhism. Buddhism is an important world religion that honors Buddha and his teachings. Our second vocabulary word is conquer. Say conquer. Conquer means to overcome something by mental or physical force. And our last vocabulary word is suffering. Say suffering. Suffering is misery or pain. Look at this photograph. Do you have any idea what it could be? This is the Great Stupa of Sanchi, one of the many sacred or holy dome-shaped shrines built all over Asia to honor the Buddha, the founder of Buddhism. Today you will learn a little bit about Buddhism, the world's fourth largest religion, and the Buddhists who practice this religion. It all began about 2,500 years ago with the birth of Siddhartha Gautama in the foothills of the Himalaya mountains. Siddhartha was a prince born to very rich parents. His parents loved him very much, so much in fact that they wanted to protect him from all the suffering in the world. By doing so, they thought he would always be happy. So Siddhartha was kept behind the walls of the palace and was given anything he wanted: fine food, beautiful clothes, wonderful toys, and plenty of servants. Siddhartha knew very little about the outside of the palace walls. Then, as he grew into a young man, he began to venture out beyond the walls of the palace. Driven by a servant in a horse-drawn chariot, Siddhartha was shocked and dismayed to see what his parents had kept hidden from him. On one trip, he saw a poor old woman, bent over and barely able to stand. On another, he saw a sick and hungry man lying on the side of the road crying out for help. On a third trip, Siddhartha saw two people weeping. All around him were suffering. Siddhartha began to worry about all these people outside of the palace walls. What, he wondered, could he do to help them? Seeing all the suffering, Siddhartha could no longer be happy with his comfortable life, and so he made the decision to leave his riches behind. One night, he crept out of the palace, moved beyond its walls, and headed up along India's dusty roads in search of answers to his questions. For many years, Siddhartha wandered the land, studying with spiritual teachers along the way. He was forever asking his teachers how to conquer or overcome suffering and achieve happiness on earth. None of their answers seemed to satisfy him. One night, stopping to rest beneath a fig tree, Siddhartha crossed his legs and vowed that he would not move until he had the answers to his questions. Siddhartha sat under the fig tree for 7 weeks, meditating on his questions. When he finally had the answers he was searching for, he felt like an entirely different person. During those 7 weeks, he believed he had received enlightenment. Siddhartha now thought that he had new and deeper understanding about life and why people suffer and how to end suffering on earth. He then became known as Buddha, meaning one who is awake or enlightened one. What do you suppose Siddhartha, the Buddha, learned during those 7 weeks? The Buddha learned several lessons, and his lessons became known as the Four Noble Truths. These are the Four Noble Truths. All people experience suffering and unhappiness. Suffering and unhappiness come from greed or desiring or wanting too many worldly things. Suffering and unhappiness end when unrealistic desires end. People can end suffering and unhappiness by following a few basic rules. The Buddha's rules may sound familiar to you. They include rules like be kind to others, don't tell lies or cheat or steal, do not be selfish, do not harm people or animals, train your mind to think clearly. The Buddha lived a long life, traveling through India teaching others about the Four Noble Truths and his rules for life. He had many followers in his lifetime, and Buddhism spread to many lands after his death. One person who credited with helping the spread of Buddhism is a powerful ruler named Asoka. Asoka was not always an enlightened person. Rather, he was a warrior king who led many soldiers into battle, wounding and killing thousands of people as he expanded his empire. But one particularly violent battle changed his life. He rode across the battlefield, seeing how his desires to rule a great empire hurt others. He became horrified by what he had done. Ashoka decided that from that day forward to change his life and study the teachings of Buddha. From then on, instead of sending men into battle, he became nonviolent and sent trained teachers throughout Asia to spread the teachings of Buddhism. Often traveling in great caravans, Ashoka's trained teachers did more, much more than preach and teach. In India and far beyond, they carried food and medicine to help people in need. Ashoka also ordered his teachers to build hospitals for people and animals, dig wells and irrigation ditches, plant shade trees by the road to comfort weary travelers, and build roads to ease traveling from place to place. Ashoka made sure that Buddha's messages of peace and kindness were carved on big rocks and stone monuments all over India. Although he allowed his people to practice Hinduism and other religions, he wanted everyone to be enlightened by the teachings of the Buddha. Stupas, like the one you saw in the beginning of this read aloud, already existed, but Ashoka built many more to hold relics or important historical objects of the Buddha. Today, Buddhists travel from all over the world to worship at these sacred shrines.